Nice.
Yes, Said, over to you.
Thank you, Hemant. That was nice slides. I think the last part we'll play the video after some time. Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to you and a warm welcome to yet another episode of Bounce Back series. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. It's been a wonderful day so far. Some known faces, some new faces. It's a pleasure seeing you all here. Before we move forward, let me just explain the format that we have for this day. This session will start with our keynote speaker, followed by a discussion by the panelists, where we will discuss the various aspects and the challenges within the subject. Then the floor will be open for the audience. You can ask questions, interact. And I would also request the audience to post their questions, comments in the chat box during the session. So we'll try to make it as much interactive as possible. As you know, this is an initiative by 5 coaches who have come together to highlight, discuss, and shed light on important topics. These are basically topics that matter to us. They are everyday topics. They have influence on our lives on a day-to-day basis. And today we are at episode number 4, and we have a very interesting topic. Love 24/7. Now tell me, guys, how many of you here are excited about this topic? Love 24/7. How much of this is too much, as Hemant has posted the question? Work from home, lockdown, and the whole sea change that we have experienced in the last 18 months. It has basically changed the dynamics at home. The place which used to be home, which we used to call lovingly home, and we used to kind of feel relieved as soon as we reach home from work, it in fact has turned into an office. Now it's like nowhere to go. It's work everywhere. For the initial part of it, it was okay. However, as the situation prolonged, the work has occupied the major part of what we call home. And in some cases, I think it has evicted the rightful owner called home from those 4 walls. Now, on one side, it's providing a great opportunity for the people who are living within those homes, for the relationships to build to a higher level, get more matured and go 10x, because they are together all the time. While on the other side, the work pressure and the continuous and the compelled togetherness has led to friction and probably cut wedge in relationships. As we discussed in our previous sessions, the concept of work from home is here to stay. Now, given this reality, would it be a love facilitator, a family integrator, or would it be induced intelligence? To make this discussion more meaningful, we have with us today 5 professional coaches. Please allow me a few minutes to introduce all of them. I'll start with myself. Myself, Mohammed Saeed. I'm a certified coach with over 3 decades of international work experience, worked in different countries, have been associated with various companies and worked with different nationalities. I'm an author also now, and I feel great saying that. I'm very passionate about reaching out and actively engage in guiding people to overcome their life challenges and through mind shift and transformation. And our next panelist is Jyotika Shetty. She's a strategic coach, international author, certified trainer, and an image consultant helping people achieve their next level performance. She holds an MBA from Manchester Business School and an experience of over 20 years of corporate banking and entrepreneurship. Next, we have Coach Arif Hussain. He's a certified mindset and performance coach, an author, a fitness enthusiast, a mentor. He's a devout family man and has been associated with the healthcare industry for 2 decades. He guides professionals between the age group of 25 to 45. He guides people between the age of 25 to 45 years to achieve their health and professional goals. Next, we have Coach Uzma Golandas. She's a certified ambition and unambiguity coach who is extremely passionate about helping people with issues that stand between them and their success. Being an English language trainer and a personality mentor, she also focuses on confidence and communication related matters. She is an MBA from London and currently lives in the UAE. Finally, we have Coach Hemant Jain, who is also our keynote speaker for the day. Hemant, the unblocked coach, has been a change management consultant trainer with over 18 years of corporate experience. He has worked with large organizations undergoing transformation, focusing on the people side of change. Many working professionals find themselves stuck between glass walls and glass ceilings. Through his coaching, Hemant helps them go higher and further in life. Now let's listen what Hemant has to say about this Love 24/7. Over to you, Hemant.
Thank you, Saeed. Thank you. I'll go back to the video on the slide. So let me share my screen now. Okay. We're all set to start with our Love 24/7. I hope the sound is there. Just give me a
देखो रोना नहीं. अरे उसमें रोने की क्या बात है? हंसो, हंसो.
तुम जा रहे हो, मेरा मन नहीं लगेगा.
मेरा लगेगा.
संभल के रहना, मुझे बहुत डर लग रहा है.
पगली. अरे उसमें डर काहे का? हाँ? अच्छा. अच्छा. ये साहब कहीं परदेश जा रहे हैं क्या? नहीं, ऑफिस जा रहे हैं.
Oh boy.
देखो.
That pretty much looked like a just married couple, right? And right after the honeymoon, when the husband is going to office for the first time. But I think that could be pretty much any other couple who had gone through a great time during the lockdown, and the husband now finally wants to go to office. Okay, so on that note, this basically reminds me of my own very marriage. I got married 11 years ago. 11 years ago, me and my wife were inseparable. During our first year of marriage, of course, my cousins used to call us the lovebirds. The lovebirds, of course. The last 1 year, we both have been, of course, inseparable thanks to the various regulatory and government lockdowns. We had the additional company of 2 kids. Our neighbors now call us, the angry birds. I'm sure you have heard that when you have got 1 kid, you are a parent. Life is great, you are enjoying, you are giving the best to your child. But the moment you switch over to 2 kids, you are no longer a parent, you become a referee. A referee who is constantly showing red and yellow cards to their kids and going red in their own faces. So that's about what life has been for the past 1 year. For the last 15 months, right, during the, it reminds me of the honeymoon period, the first year of marriage. It was great. But after the honeymoon period is done, life kind of gets busy. Work takes over. And I, being a consultant, I used to travel a lot. So my wife used to have this universal complaint, you don't have time for me. Every other day I used to hear that. For the last 15 months, thanks to government again and the lockdowns and corona, I was at home, spending pretty much all my time right in front of her. And I thought I might not hear this again, but my dear friends, you don't have time for me has been there pretty much all through these 15 months too. I don't know what to think of it. But then this reminds me of Raj and Simran. No, not these one, not the ones from DDLJ. This Raj and Simran are from Bangalore and they are a neighbor to my friend. Welcome to their story. So Raj and Simran are very happily married and they had a dream life. Both had very successful careers and were amongst the top performers at work. They planned their vacations much in advance, absolutely making sure that they were going abroad to a foreign country at least once a year and also visiting exotic locations in India every year. And these two were in addition to the various numerous many weekends they were planning with their friends and colleagues and family. They were ensuring that they had time for each other in spite of very successful and very busy work life. They used to find time for each other. The weekends were sacrosanct for each other. Being top performers, they progressed in life, and soon Simran was the associate director in her organization, and Raj had moved on to become the CEO of a startup. It's been 9 years, and now they also have a kid who is in first grade, who's been taken care of by the nanny. And they have all their life planned out. Work life is successful. Vacations are there. They are having a perfect life. And that's when the pandemic happened. Life changed. Raj's startup business shrunk due to the lockdowns. Simran's responsibilities increased because a few of her colleagues had been fired as a cost-cutting measure. Both had immense work pressure. At the same time, they had to save on cost, their salaries were reduced, and so they decided to cut cost in Bangalore and move back with Raj's parents in Haryana. They began to live like a joint family. And that's where challenges started. Raj was expecting Simran to have the breakfast, lunch, evening snacks, dinner ready at the appropriate time. Now that Simran was home, she could do all that. That was the expectation. And at the same time, Simran was also expecting a little more from her hubby in terms of a little help in the kitchen as well as a little help managing the kid now that he was home. These changes were difficult for both of them. And now they also had to play helicopter parents to their child. Initially, it was just about ensuring that he got on to the online classes on time, and then when the time was over, he was getting off. But you know, the kids these days, they are pretty smart. Soon their helicoptering changed into keeping a constant vigil and making sure that the kid was not switching windows while the class was going on and are playing either games or watching YouTube videos. Life was difficult. And let me not forget the twist in the story. This was practically the first time after marriage, and their marriage has been 9 years old now, that Simran was living with her in-laws. Mother-in-law dear had her whole set of expectations from Simran in terms of the daughter-in-law contributing to the efforts in the kitchen and of course other household responsibilities. Well, things got very difficult. Very soon, the situation between them moved from "तुझे देखा तो ये जाना सनम" to "तेरे मेरे बीच में कैसा है ये tension अनजाना." Life can get very difficult. Fights between Raj and Simran became very common, and the child was caught in the crossfire. Things went so bad that one day Raj lost his temper and slapped Simran. The worst thing, this was happening in front of the kid. Simran is now seeking divorce.
Hemant, you're on mute.
Okay. I just went on mute now, or did I go? Okay, just now. Okay. So Raj and Simran's story is still intact, thankfully. Okay, coming back. So we were on the divorce. While the divorce proceedings were going on, Raj and Simran had already been through very traumatic times, and this began affecting their work performance. The investors were questioning Raj on his ability to lead the organization as the CEO. And as far as Simran was concerned, while her job had been pretty safe because her counterparts, her colleagues had been fired in advance, now the MD's son had joined the business and was soon going to take over her responsibilities. So both Raj and Simran were facing job loss fears, so much so for the family coming together during the lockdown. Friends, the lockdown did bring the families together, but did it bring them closer? I don't think so. Because that's where the difficulty started for all of them. I think you would have seen different shades of the story which I just told you, with quite a few people you might have known, your neighbors, your relatives, and you might have even seen some shades in your own personal lives. But then things have not been all that bad. In some quarters, in some places, there have been positive stories, some good stories, and I must say, some very funny stories too. Yes, I see the message in the comment box. थप्पड़ से डर नहीं लगता साहब, प्यार से डर लगता है. So yeah, that was the topic for us today. Too much love. How much is too much love? So coming back to our funny stories and interesting ones. During the lockdown, I remember one of my distant relatives got married, and this was last year, planned their Switzerland honeymoon. It was a 1 week package. It was a dream destination, of course, inspired by Yash Raj and his countless movies. They went to Switzerland and the lockdown happened. They were able to return to Mumbai only after 3 months. For them, it was pretty much a very long 3 month long honeymoon. A classic case of hum tum ek kamre mein band ho aur chabi kho jaye. Against that, the other side of the spectrum, there were those married couples who got separated by the lockdown. Either one of the partners traveled for work, or the housewife traveled alone or with children for the summer vacations to her mother's home. They got separated by the lockdown and couldn't meet again for almost 2 to 3 months. In effect, they had their own Veer Zara stories. Let me not forget the singles out there. They had a tough time too. With the lockdown, no pubs, no discos, no social gatherings. There was no avenue to meet new interesting singles. There were no signals out there. So the dating game went out for a toss. People tried connecting on Tinder and other dating apps, and then tried to have some Zoom dating meetings. But then most people realize that seeing the real you is not great for the dating game. Whether we look at our top stars or common people, the lockdown look was not something which was great for the dating arena. So that's what happened. All in all, what I would like to talk, or what I would like to tell you is, people found themselves in a completely new set of circumstances as far as their relationships were concerned. And while a few people were able to make the best out of it, most people just did not know how to handle it. For few couples, their bonds grew stronger, their heart grew fonder. And of course, their relationship now is like Fevicol ka majboot jod, tootega nahi. The men developed a healthy appreciation for the household work, as well as the stress the lady goes through in managing the kids and the house and just keeping the general house in order. The women, the housewives, also develop a healthy appreciation for the stress men go through at work, the stress they go through with their colleagues, customers, bosses, deadlines, and so on and so forth. In cases where both partners were working and earlier did not have time for each other, unfortunately, now they were able to have a little more time. In between their stressful workday, in between their meetings, they were able to snatch a few moments of togetherness, a few moments of chatting with each other, at least a hi, hello, and just talking between the meetings. But these were very few cases. The vast majority actually suffered. They simply did not know how to handle these extraordinary circumstances of either too much time with each other or too much time away into forced long distance relationships. The number of divorce filings skyrocketed. And at the same time, the number of cases of domestic abuse and domestic violence went up. Not only in quantity, but they also appeared in places where none existed before. My dear friends, the work life gave something to people which most people did not realize. The student life, the school life gave something to people which most people did not realize. That's personal space and personal time. The kids had their own time. The working partners had their own time. The housewife had her own time. In some cases, the house husband had his own time. Now, with the lockdown, everybody forced inside the small houses, nobody had their personal space. Everybody was locked into a small space with no concept of personal space or personal time. My dear friends, relationships are the bedrock of our lives, the bedrock of society. दिल है कि मानता नहीं, but in these changed circumstances, ये दिल जानता नहीं. What we need to do is figure out how do we mend our relationships, how do we grow our relationships, how do we make them stronger in these times which are absolutely new to us, which are posing to be very difficult to us. So, dil hai ke manta nahi. Over to you, Saeed.
Thank you, Hemant. That was very thoughtful and very wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this deserves a thundering applause. And I would expect the chat box to flood with appreciation and nice comments there. Because Hemant, I think you did not leave any part of it. You covered everything. And yeah, especially you covered singles as well. That's nice. Now, I would request the audience here to just put it in the chat how their love life has been impacted during this period, and what happened to it, and I mean, for them or for anybody, any people they know around, was it a love log or loving the dog? Let's hear from you. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Where there is love, there is life." I would say that very truly, because if you take out love from those four walls, they are basically four walls. It's not a home anymore, right? So let's go to panelists. Now, let me ask each of them what is their perspective on this. And I will also request all the participants here, all the audience here, to put it in the chat. What are the challenges you faced, and how it has been. Let me start with Hemant. Hemant, you covered a lot of ground there. You just did not leave anything. But what is your personal experience has been during this 18 months so far?
Okay, so in my case, I think relationship with my wife did not go worse. We tried to maintain a fair balance. I wouldn't say it went even better. We were not able to achieve that either. But I think what really did get affected was my relationship with my kids. Being thrown together for 24 hours and me trying to keep a constant watch on them. My elder daughter has gone from 6 to 7 in this last 1 year and become very, very smart with the laptop. So she was doing all those things, the switching between the windows and trying to fool us, putting the earplugs into her ear so that we feel that she's attending school while she's watching YouTube videos. So I think one thing which began to happen was I was doing a lot of screaming in the house, unfortunately. And there was a time when I had to kind of put myself into check that what am I doing? I'm like literally screaming at 4-year-old and 7-year-old. They are just being kids. and I am not being the matured adult, but I was very, very reacting to what things were happening rather than trying to understand the situation as well as trying to understand the kids. So I think I went through that phase. I think I've reduced a bit, but I still do go through those screaming times, unfortunately.
I think, Hemant, it reminds me, in my sixth standard, one of our teachers used to say that his parents were illiterates, so they cannot read alphabets. So whatever he used to read, poor parents, they used to think that our son is working hard. So if he is reading something late in the night, they used to bring him a glass of milk or things like that. While actually what he was reading is like maybe a Chandamama or some story. But the poor parents, they don't know because they were illiterate. They used to think that he's studying, son is studying. So I think our position today is also same. When our kids are in front of the screen, we think they are screen for a reason. But what they are doing on the screen, we don't know. We cannot even monitor it all the time here. Yeah. Let me ask Uzma here. Uzma, what are your views with respect to relations being strained?
Hi everyone. Relationships have definitely been strained during the lockdown for many people, if not most. There are a few happy examples, of course, but those are the kind of examples you look at and see, I mean, how did that happen to them when it didn't happen to me, right? So that's there. I think it's because there are a lot of expectations even now. The employer expects you to be there, your family expects you to be there for them, because both of them can see you all the time, one on Zoom and the other live, right? But you see, the problem is that you still have only 24 hours in a day, so you can only accomplish so much in that time. The rising expectations just add to stress, not to productivity. Now, what happened to me was, uh, since I have a son, we would actually go out, me and my husband, when he would go to school. So once in a while, he would take an off from his work, and we would go out during the day. Now, since he was pursuing his schooling from home, that was not possible. So initially, there was a lot of turbulence. Add to that the fact that the workload was much more than it ever was before that. So yeah, my initial experience was not good.
Well, I think we are all strained. But anyway, how do we handle this? We will discuss this. Now let me go to Jyotika. Jyotika, this default is certainly a kind of unexpected thing, because when it happened, we were thinking that, okay, it's for a week, it's for a month, but it's going on. I don't know when it will end. So this unexpected thing, how do you think, how do you see this, and what's the future?
Good morning, Syed, and good morning to everyone present here today. Well, you see, unexpected changes is something that is not welcome by any human being for that matter, because human beings like to be in control of what they are doing. And that's why you always think about people doing change plans, future planning and all of that. But when that future planning goes bust, this is when people go crazy. And that's precisely what happened even for people like us last year. There was the COVID-19 came as a completely different surprise. If you remember, December 2019, it started in China. And when it started, we were very, okay, we're okay. It's not near our boundaries and borders. So we were happy it's somewhere else. But when it actually started coming towards us, we realized, yes, the impact was changing. And people had to understand that it is a change that sooner or later we have to accept it. But people did not understand the intensity of the change that it was bringing in, because it was unprecedented for all of us. Now, one thing that I have understood is, see, I moved from Dubai in 2019, and pretty much my situation has been a blessing in disguise, because I was planning to move in 2020 for my kids' education. Now, looking back, if I have to say, if I had to move into 2020, my entire plan would have gone out of entire planning. Now, in 2019, when I moved, which was pretty much like, a very over the, like on the spot kind of a thing, it was not really well planned, but it happened. But looking back, I'm so happy that it happened, all I have is gratitude to it for that. Yes, the change was not easy. It was unexpected. But what I did was I was not living in denial. So one thing that I would like to tell people is do not live in denial or do not resist the change. Because after a couple of years or months, when you look back, everything that happens for the good. So pretty much whether it's COVID or no COVID in the future, understand that till the time you do not accept these unexpected changes, you will always hurt yourself. Now, unexpected changes are here to stay. They're never going to be apart from who you are. So when you know that this is going to be a part of who you are, accept it, don't live in denial. That makes it easy for you to move forward.
I'll come back to you on that, Jyotika, how best we can handle that. Now, let
Sure.
me just ask Arif. Now, Arif, this compelled togetherness or even a compelled separation, both are stressful. Now, could this lead to a health issue? Do people have to do something about it?
Good morning, everyone. So, Saeed, you are actually right. There can be many health issues because of stress, right? Some people may even feel pain at different sites in the body, but most importantly, it's the mental stress, mental health we need to take care of, right? And it has been, one of the most talked about topic, right? During this pandemic, pandemic has actually increased mental stress to the next level. And the number of people who are now facing mental stress has drastically increased. It's actually the perspective of the people that needs a change. I was just reading the comments, and there were a few comments which explains those things that we don't value when we have things, and so the perspective has to shift whenever a situation changes. However, there are multiple reasons which you can connect to mental stress during this pandemic. So a few of them are like increase in unemployment, the shutting of businesses, the human to human connection was lost or diminished. So lesser options to distract mind, and more or less same people spending time together. So people are stuck in home and they have limited people to spend time together. And whenever a brain has too many things to worry about and no clarity what to do next, like Jyotika was also saying something similar. So it increases stress a lot. Now, I'm not going to talk about what stress can do to your mind or body. People know it. Let's talk about people who are working from home, and work used to be always demanding even before pandemic with the timelines and all the guidelines. So now those targets are more or less same, but people have to achieve those sitting at home, right? And are we conditioned to work from home? The answer is no. Home used to be family time. And moreover, the environment at home is not conducive for work, even if you are living alone. You need a different kind of environment. So just imagine your boss calling, and at the same time, your mother or spouse asks you to change cylinder in the kitchen, or your children wants help in their studies. These can be quite stressful situations, right?
Yeah, Arif, I think you really mentioned a very stressful example there. Boss calling and wife calling. So it's like choosing between devil and the deep sea. Very interesting. Yeah, I think what happened is this, especially for the men and all the working professionals. Traditionally, they are used to being away from home for a good part of the day. I mean, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. Now being pinned down all the time at home, I think they're missing those activities outside and those people, those friends, those. So they were kind of, all those were kind of stress busters, and that is missing. And the challenge is to find those things at home. That's the thing. Yeah, let me go to Hemant again. Now, Hemant, how do you think people can avoid pitfalls here? Because you mentioned of so many things, and I mean, how people can avoid this? Because you being a change management consultant, how do you think people can manage this and can avoid that?
Saeed, in my 15 years of consulting as a change manager, we have often tried to find where the root cause of resistance to change is, or any issues which are arising in organizations is. And invariably, it has led to a singular problem, which is lack of communication. And I think that's what is happening to relationships also. In spite of being at home, we are invisible to each other. We are in these bubbles, as Uzma was talking about it. We are in these bubbles where we are trying to do our work and trying to isolate the rest of the family so that we can do our piece of work, and we try to become invisible to them. So while we are there together 24/7, we are not there in front of them, and those conversations between family members have actually decreased or disappeared. Now if we can bring those conversations back, I think that will do a great lot for the relationships. Those 15 minutes of conversation, the 15 minutes of conversation between a husband and a wife, a father and a son, father and a daughter, mother, you and your mother. I mean, those conversations, just 15 minutes of pure, genuine, honest conversations, they can be a kickstarter for a great lifelong relationships. So anybody who finds that their relationship has taken a beating in the last 15 months, 15 minutes of genuine, honest conversation is where you start. And then things will get in shape and you will figure out other things which will follow. But start with this one. So from my side, this would be the one thing which people need to do.
Okay, staying on that relationships, let me go to Uzma. Uzma, you talk about relationships and how they have been strained. So what's your hack? How do you think people can handle this? How do you think people can manage?
Actually, it's not that difficult. You may have to try new things, but they are not difficult at all. So different, but not difficult. First is obviously the problem of invisibility. What happens is, because you are in front of each other's eyes all the time, you may take your spouse for granted. Okay, so what actually happens is, physically we are present, but mentally we are occupied either with the gadgets or work or something else. Now, what actually makes you feel like you are with a person is when you spend quality time together. It could be a conversation, sharing a meal, anything where you are not mentally occupied, you are actually focusing on the person who's there with you. That is not happening, and that can be very hurtful, because what happens is you are not spending quality time with the person. At the same time, you cannot even claim absence because you're physically present, but you get to acknowledge the presence of the person only when you need something. Like the husband may feel that the wife is around when he needs a cup of tea, or the wife may feel, okay, the husband is there at home when she needs some chopped onions. Okay, but but that is not how it has to be. I think getting out of each other's hair for a while would be very helpful. For that, you need to find things that you like doing on your own, where you are not dependent on someone else, but those activities actually lift your mood, make you feel better, and give you your own mental room. Note here, I'm saying mental room, not a physical room, which means even if you don't have much of space at home, you can still be in your own zone, where maybe you go to a corner and read, have a 2-minute singing session if you enjoy singing. Singing in the shower is completely okay, of course. Dance for, I don't know, like a minute or 30 seconds if that really charges you up. That way, when you are occupied with your own life, the other person notices that you're not around all the time, and they will also want to connect with you rather than just nagging after them. You can find hobbies for yourself that will also serve as a mood lifter, but you can also find hobbies or things that you can do together with your spouse. So that way you have something to do together, focusing on the same thing at once. And in case you don't have common interests, well, do chores together. I mean, one person is cleaning the kitchen counter, the other person can do the dishes, and that will lead to conversation because those are quite monotonous jobs. Okay. Besides that, you can plan family time together, which will lead to quality time. Games night, movie night. And do not forget to plan quality time with your partner, where you let the other family members know that you just want to enjoy their company and not with everyone else. I know this is a bit difficult in our part of the world, but we'll have to begin somewhere. Probably pandemic is the right time to start that, because privacy has taken a huge blow. We cannot go out anymore with our spouses or partners. So you have to do this at home. You can plan a movie night, a dinner, or whatever you want to do. And last but not the least, have certain days where you do not have to work. Whether you're a homemaker or a working professional, take time off. At least take time off some of the chores. Like if you cannot give up all of your day, at least don't perform some of the stuff. So you feel that your day is different and you have some time for yourself. And if you can do that for your partner or the person who takes care of the household responsibility, I think that's great, because as human beings, we like to feel loved and cared for. So when someone else does that for you, you feel, okay, this person cares for me, which is why they plan this time off for me. So nothing big. I think these are quite manageable things, right? What does the audience think?
Yeah, I think you listed a lot of tips there, and that's great. I especially like, I mean, to be very safe. I think singing in the bathroom is the one thing that I can try for myself, because that is safe for both the parties. You see, for the people who have to listen to it, and for myself who sing.
There's another advantage. You can get some instruments in the bathroom, like the soap dish and the jug. You can just.
Well, whatever I have, I will improvise on that, but I will keep myself in the safe zone. That's what I mean, when I do that. Yeah, because the other day I tried, okay, we'll have a quality time, and I said, okay, let's grab them. And we started with it. Halfway through, I slept, and when I got up, the game is over. Then I said, okay, I'm the winner. And they said, why? Because I slept and you played my part, so I should be the winner. Yeah, you see. Anyway, let me come back to Jyotika. Jyotika, we were talking about change and change management, and not exactly change management, how people's issue with accepting this change. So what do you think? Where is this? What people are missing here, and what they should do to handle this?
Well, Hemant made a very good point, that he spoke about conversations, bringing conversations back to the table and having good conversations. I would like to add a small change here as well, or rather a little bit in-depth site here, that when you understand that you want to bring back conversations, it begins with understanding the value of conversation, that is having gratitude towards these kind of small little things that you do. So it begins with understanding the value of good communication. And I think that's pretty much what happened with me, is that when I moved to India, obviously my older son and my my husband are still in Dubai. And there was a time that we couldn't travel, they couldn't travel, and it was pretty much we were living in 2 different countries, and 3 in fact before that, till my son moved to Dubai. So what could we do? There are 2 things. I could get frustrated, or I could be, a little bit more thoughtful here. Now, when you talk about hacks as well, I think the biggest hack for a human being is their mindset. Everything that, like Robin Sharma says, things happen twice, once in your mind and once in reality. So what you create in your mind becomes eventually the reality. And I wanted to create a reality that is peaceful for all of us. And I would say that we consciously made an effort, thanks to the video calls that we have, the bottom app that we use, that we really had conversations that were really good. And probably if we had stayed together, it would have been different. But I would say that my perspective of this whole change is a little different, that it all begins with gratitude for me. It's okay when you're sitting together and having those fights, but what about those people who are staying away from each other, right? It causes a lot of frustration. Things are out of your control. And I think many in this world have lived that kind of a life, where husband in one place, wife in one place, children in the university. So what do? Gratitude is what we can begin with. Understand that we are healthy, our family is healthy, at least, because there was a death in my own family last October. And I know what my family has gone through. Even this year, we had a couple of cases of COVID. It could have been worse. So all I can say is have gratitude. And your biggest hack in life is your mind. When you learn to change your mind and manage your mind, everything else falls in place. And that's exactly what I did. As far as my husband and I are concerned, When we knew it was too much, we wouldn't probably speak for 2 days. We wanted to, have our own space. Okay, don't talk to each other. But then when we came to each other, we had our rules. We didn't talk about things that would really take our state to a low, our state of mind to a very low state. But we ensured we always maintained ourselves at a pretty good level. And whenever we knew it was going in the wrong direction, we said, okay, bye, and we kept the phone down. But at the end of the day, it's all about being grateful and managing it.
Fantastic.
Over to you, sir.
I think gratefulness, I think you mentioned a very, very, very important thing there. Yeah, gratefulness always plays a very vital role in our personal happiness and success as well. Let me come to Arif again. Arif has been helping us with health tips and some workouts in almost all situations. Now, given the stressful moments, Arif, what's your suggestions here for people to be able to relax from these frustrations or from these tension moments? What's your suggestions here? How they can handle it? Arif, can you hear me?
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
So Said, exercise actually help in all sort of situation. It make you more comfortable in all the kinds of situation, because during exercise you feel a lot of physical stress, right? So your body as well as your mind attains that comfort in during stressful situations as well. But I want to bring some one more aspect to it, that a lot is spoken about importance of time management, financial management, even you were talking about health management, but do we ever talk about love management? So there is one aspect actually which we really need to manage, and that is anger management. Let's just ponder a bit on what options Raj had in Hemant's story when he actually slapped Simran, and which actually ended in their dream relationship. Anger can be useful if used wisely with limits of duration and intensity. You can get a lot of things done, but you only need to learn how to control it and not get controlled by it, right? So if you allow me, I just wanted to share a story, one of my personal story that happened, and I never felt so infuriated in my life, uh, which I felt then. And I was working for one of the pharmaceutical companies then, and I was known and respected for my performance, my timely report submissions by my colleagues as well as my superiors, or at least I thought so. Now, once a close friend whom I had known for many years became my boss. That can happen in jobs. I was happy for him and even excited to see him promoted. And I was thinking that next turn would be mine. And it was only a few days since the person got promoted and he sent me a message regarding submission. So being a friend, I jokingly replied him that I don't like such messages. And that's why I complete all the tasks even before timelines. He replied that he also doesn't like such messages, and now his boss would talk to me. Right. So I was actually taken aback with that response. Since it was done, I had no choice but to face it. So I reached office and we had a meeting with the whole team. During the conversation, I even forgot about the incidents. Then suddenly my boss's boss called my name and asked if I respected my supervisor. I said, of course, he had been a great friend and I genuinely respected him. So he said something and told in front of everyone that company can take resignations on such issues, even if people are great performers. Now, I heard such sharp words for the very first time. I was very angry. I could feel the rush of blood to my face, my fists getting harder. I could not understand their perspective because of that anger. My second line manager asked me to wait outside and the meeting continued. I was infuriated at this. And within a span of some time, dozens of thoughts came to my mind how I can settle scores with these people, right? But sitting alone also gave me the time to introspect and stop all the nonsensical thoughts that were coming to my mind at that point of time. And when meeting got over, I was called by my senior manager. I went inside his chamber, and by the time I went there, I had calmed down. And when I reached inside, I explained my story very calmly. He understood it, and nothing actually happened, right? So in fact, my friend later told during appraisals that I am good at interpersonal skills, which I used to take as my improvement areas. So just imagine if I had acted upon all those things coming to my mind, what could have happened? I think the same is required to do at home, which we seldom take for granted. And even an ideal husband like Raj slipped for once.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Arif, there. I think when you are angry, the best thing to do is to be silent. I mean, at least for a while. So that will avoid you from taking any action that is adverse. Because in an anger, it is generally proven that people don't make rational decisions when they're angry. Okay. Yeah, that's very rightly said. And often I do practice, but sometimes you always slip. But yes, you are right. At home, you need to practice that more seriously. So overall, what we have here is that we need to allow, being at home, we need to allow each other some kind of me space, and we need to have gratitude for all that we have, because we have so many things. Especially during pandemic, we realized that even breathing we have taken for granted, which we used to freely breathe. So we should be so thankful to it, because now that you know how difficult it is to move around without mask, then have a good communication. Take out time to communicate. Spend some quality time. These are the simple things that one could do at home to maintain an atmosphere healthy at home. So having said that, now I would say the floor is open for the questions for the audience. Please post and maybe ask questions and have comments. We are ready to discuss this. So may the floor be open for question and answers. Anybody has anything to say, any question to ask, please raise your hand.
And it will be great to have members on their video, so that when we are having a conversation, at least we can see you.
Yes.
You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Well, I think relationships have been a very touchy subject, so I don't see questions coming in.
Are people busy 24/7 in love? or is it so hard that people are afraid to touch it? Come on, guys. Let it be a free talk. I mean, it doesn't have to be something very serious.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is
Hi, Afreen.
Afreen.
Afreen, you always scare us with that name. Yes, go ahead.
Because Hemant is in corporate sector from very long period, so I would love to ask Hemant, not only this lockdown, but before that, when you were in corporate sector as an IT sector, how you are managing that anytime work in your IT sector and along with that family. If something comes in between, like your kid admission or something like that, how you are managing balance between family and the corporate pressure?
Okay, so see, the way I see it, the work-life balance is a myth. You cannot really plan work-life balance, because life happens. A lot of things will keep happening in your personal lives. At the same time, the work pressures will be there, weekend calls, late evening calls, those things will keep happening. in a few jobs, it is easier to deflect them and handle them towards the day. But as you said, a very specific example of IT, where a lot of your clients are in a different part of the world, and either deadlines are so close that you have to work late evenings or weekends, or your clients can only talk to you when it is your night or another part of like the weekend. In those things, what you will need to do is mentally try to compensate. If you have given personal time to work, you need to start figuring out how much of the work time can you give to your family. One mistake which I realized very late in my work life was I kept accumulating leaves, right? We all get 20 leaves from our organizations, or 10 leaves, 15 leaves. We kind of don't utilize them properly. So if you have given a lot of time to work, then it's time for you to consider a few days of leave from work. Even if it is one day, combine it with your weekend, take a long weekend, just go off.
The office doesn't allow.
Office doesn't allow you to take leaves.
Is frozen.
Yeah, I think some
Yeah.
network issue.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
at my end.
That's okay.
Did you say office does not allow you to take leaves?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes there are so much pressure that they are saying that you just go for a leave after some days or couple of days or something like that. So that is
Perfectly fine.
also an
Perfectly
issue.
fine. When those few days were gone, did you take your leave?
Yeah, that few days never come.
Yeah. So then it's a never-ending situation where you will
Yeah.
have to find your slot. You will have to tell your manager, like 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months in advance, I am going to take those leaves. Make your reason,
Correct.
whatever be the reason, but you will have to figure out, you will have to demand your time also. It's very easy to go with the flow and work pressure, and I've been a victim of that in my past, so I can relate to that, and it impacts your life.
True.
The faster you can
True.
get out
Agree.
of it. Yes.
Yes. Actually, what they are saying, leave is a privilege, not it is not your right. It is a privilege. Since
Something
I'm in
is
a
wrong with the
government
person
sector,
who said that. Definitely.
since I am in a government sector, so they are giving so much, that you can see in this Swaminathan book or something, some rules and regulation book, that leave is your, privilege. It's not your right. So there
Yes,
are so
but then
many things
you
happening.
do have a right to use your privilege, so go ahead and use it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else asking any questions? We have here.
Yes,
Yes.
Darshini, you want to say something?
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to share a tip which worked for me so much in this pandemic situation. What I used to do is every morning when I wake up, I just write down in a book whatever comes to my mind. And later in that week, after that week ends, I used to go introspect myself and I used to get answers for my own problems or my own challenges which I'm facing. This is one pro tip which I can give everyone who's in this platform now. It has worked wonders. So I just wanted to share this.
Thank you, Darshini. Thank you, Darshini. I think I'll add something which we have not touched during the entire last hour. We have been talking about relationships with spouse, children, parents, colleagues, work, everybody. What we have not talked about and what we have not stressed enough is your relationship and your love for yourself. And what you just mentioned, Darshini, actually sparked that thought that creating your own list of things to do or things to achieve and reviewing at the end of the week is giving you a sense of personal achievement. Also have that time for yourself. Your own me time is extremely important. We did talk
Very
about the
important.
me time, but the significance about the me time is your love for yourself, your relationship with yourself, which is extremely important.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Darshini.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions or
Anybody else
anything you would
have a
like to
question?
add? I think it's a good time for everybody to come on video. We'll take a photograph.
you want to say something, Puneet?
No, I just want to share that very nice. I joined late, but I think what Hemant said just now, I mean, it's absolutely true, because this thing of loving yourself, that is just coming to me now after I've joined CTF. Before that, I've been practicing Buddhism for the last 7 years, but before that, I was like literally in the victim mode. And, I used to feel that why, whatever, but then slowly, you realize that it's not about the other person. It's like what's inside you, even like a simple thing. I'm not talking about relationships, like a simple, for example, that I feel that Arif is jealous of me. So they say that, you have to look within, somewhere within you, that jealousy is hidden somewhere, little bit. You have to deal relationship is us with us. This is more of the spiritual thing, but yes, and I have realized that the moment you start looking for it inside and to change something within, I see a changed response in my environment. Like if I think, I know that we also, the moment we start changing ourselves, realize that the other person is also softening towards you. So it's basically your relationship. But for that, you need a lot of mindfulness and awareness, and it takes time. So I just wanted to share that. And self-love, definitely, I'm realizing so it's just started. So because even like I don't know, I'm just sharing, like even with my overweight, I was very conscious, and even when I was less than this, I used to feel worse than this. But now I'm at the maximum peak, but I'm feeling better about myself, because so that is the change. And I'm seeing that in the environment also, I'm getting more appreciation and more it's a totally different experience altogether. It's very strange to believe, but yeah, it is there. So definitely, I would just tell everybody, just have that me time and start loving yourself, and everything will start falling in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Puneet.
I would like to share one thing here on what Puneet has just shared. Okay, so there are two extremes. So one was that, okay, whatever I am feeling, that is because I have it inside, right? And whether you are, or the others, which the other extreme which you just said, okay, if I am happy, or if I am giving me my time, if I am loving myself, then everything is going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. Okay, so you need to find a balance, though people can say so many things about balances, that work-life balance cannot happen, it's a myth or whatever. But what is balance for you? So your center point, your balance can be different from mine. Okay, so whether you use any term, work-life harmony, work-life integration, or work-life balance, that those terms do not matter. What and how you feel inside, that matters. So some people who get happier, they feel happiest when they are doing things for others. So they are happy. And some people like to do things for themselves. That makes them happy. So you have to find what makes you happy.
I absolutely agree with you, Arif, and it is very relative. And as they say, reformers need to relax a little, and, helpers and peacemakers like me, they need to work a little. So we have to strike a balance somewhere. And even with yourself, yes. And what is your endurance, my endurance, everything will differ because of our conditionings and whatever. And life is not hunky-dory. External things will happen, but we have to keep taking those challenges with the right attitude and moving to the next step, because life is full of challenges, yes, and it has to come from within. You have to find your peace and happiness within. That is absolutely true. Yeah, there was something else I wanted to say, but it just slipped out. Yeah,
that's okay. You can share whenever you remember.
Yeah.
Or next Saturday.
Next Saturday. I forgot about I don't know, I just forgot. I joined late. I just realized, I saw the message, that it's too late. Yeah, I think I got distracted.
Right, I think we can ask everyone to switch on their.
Guys, I'm going to play for you one of my favorite songs.
we can request everyone to, maybe may I request everyone to switch on your video for a picture, please?
Hey, Mrinal.
Hi, Mrinal.
Hello.
Afreen.
You all.
Hi. Sara, Alia, Amreen, Ambreen. Sara? Okay, I think they're not there. Amreen? Right, great, great, great. Alia, okay. Are they your kids, Arif?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I guessed as much when you said okay, right. Amreen? Okay. Hemant, you're clicking a picture?
Done.
Right, thank you. Hi, Sara, Alia.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm good.
Great. Are you enjoying the talk?
Yeah. Yes.
What did you learn? What did you learn?
So sweet.
They are confused.
You're
It's
seeing
okay, no
not for
worries.
the first time. Maybe Mrinal can say something.
Yes, I am at the same age.
Yes, you know, with a beard though. Yes, go ahead.
All right. So I'd just like to say this very interesting discussion. This one point that I do feel very strongly is, as Jyotika was mentioning, is it's all about your mind. So once you take charge of your mind, you really don't have to bother about work-life balance or even relationship balance or any kind of balance for that matter, because all this is again a concept created by your mind. So it's a matter of finding just a control. So once you are in control of your mind and your mind is not controlling you, you act out spontaneously. If you have half an hour and that is the time you feel is best devoted to your work or it's best devoted to your other parts of life, I mean it just comes out spontaneously, and that is the best reaction. Instead of compartmentalizing life into work and and work and family or different parts of life, I think we need to relax a bit. Just have that control on our mind and let life flow intuitively or spontaneously, and not take much stress on that. I think then we don't have to really worry about a lot of things. That's what I feel.
No, actually, thing is, you know, when we like when we started our career, let's say 20 years back, when you are at office, you are at work. When you come home, you are at home. There is no connection. But slowly, when the mobile came,
Not for software engineers. We have been working from home.
Yeah, no, long time ago, I'm saying a few years back, some decades back. Okay, now when the mobiles came, your work started coming with you. Okay, with the laptops and with now working from home, work, home, everything has become same at the same place. So
Right.
it is important for the people to make some demarcation here. Okay, so otherwise, what's happening is one friction you have in one place spilling out to other. So that you need to separate.
Also, I think it is what we think, okay, in the sense that we have given so much importance to sacrifice. Yes, it is indeed great to sacrifice things, and people who have sacrificed things in life have achieved big things. They are respected, they become icons. But we sometimes take it to another extreme. So we start sacrificing a lot on the personal front. So, you know, it's like Balidan becomes the theme of our life. That should not happen. Once you start taking that extreme, that is
Yes,
when things start going topsy-turvy.
exactly. I mean, when you start even when you start getting that feeling of balidan or sacrifice, you know that it's a time for change. So that is
Really.
I think Usma, that's a great point you raised, because whenever we do that sacrifice, we will also have this feeling that, you know, we've done so much and this is not, you know, you go into that mode of this thing. So that's also the ego playing up. So I think whatever we do, we should just do it with love. That's it. and it should just
Exactly.
flow.
And there should be a balance. Don't sacrifice so much that then you start
Yeah.
feeling like the sacrificial lamb, because we are still alive, right? It's not going to go down well.
And I think when we are happy with ourselves, we will be able, we have to be that happy person so that everybody is happy, rather than, doing things out of the.
See, how many relationships fall apart because of, I am doing more than you, you're not doing anything, I did that for you, I did this for you, and that too, even if it is 10 years back also, they'll tell, I did that day, this year, this minute, this second. So that's exactly what we have to understand, that if we keep on sacrificing ourselves, nobody's going to care about it in the first place. And don't repeat it if you're going to do that, because you're doing it out of your own will and wish.
Jyotika,
Yes,
there's
Neeraj.
one situation I want to talk about which has not been yet touched. It's okay if it's pandemic, you're at home and you're working. It's even more toxic when you're at home and you're jobless. You take out the frustration on each other, and you get a different vibe from each other. Like you see a different part of the person you've never seen before, and you kind of become the punching bag. Because they're so upset about the fact from so many years they're jobless now. And then somehow you feel as if you're responsible for it.
Yeah, totally.
And that's why, and there's like the blame game happening after that. And that becomes like a vicious cycle which never ends, because we are not appreciating anymore. And the one that you said about being grateful, that never comes in the, the list of, forget prioritizing it.
And that's why, Sirat, we as coaches, we learn that the power of mastermind, right? And having the right kind of people around you is when you know that other than family, you also have to have your own passion, your own thing to do. You can, yes, family is important, but you cannot you cannot stress the family so much that they become your life and you're completely paralyzed without them. That is a very dangerous spot to be. You find your own passion. It could be photography, singing, music, anything. Public speaking, like for me, I love public speaking. So that's my zen moment, that's my ikigai. So what is it? How many of them have it in the first place?
I want to say pandemic for me in one sense has become a blessing, because my 13 14 years of pause on my career, I took a step forward. I joined and I'm an author and going to be a coach. So this is like, I started focusing on myself, which is better than anything that could happen to me. So I'm like totally blessed.
Fantastic. And congratulations, Sirat.
Thank you.
Let me give you my example. Last year, when I was told that my association with the organization is going to come to an end, for me, it was like, okay, after 15 years, I'm going to get my first real break from work. So I actually created a long list of things I would do while I was searching for the job. It so happened that in 2 weeks' time, I got another job, and everybody around me was very happy that I got a job, except me, because now I was looking at the list and I knew that I wouldn't be able to complete that. So yeah, both perspectives. But if you are in a situation where you've got too much time at hand because of a job loss or something, or your partner has that, you immediately need to start creating that list of what are the things you're going to do while you are searching for the job. Because searching for a job is not a 24/7 thing. It's not going to keep you occupied. You need to find things that will keep you occupied. And I'm sure you have got at least 100 things to do, which you have been postponing because you were too busy with work. So that's something which everybody should be doing.
Yeah, I think the challenge these days is that mostly because of this pandemic, public movement is a little bit restricted. And yeah, that has become more challenging. Before, you had that opportunity to be out and do things which you thought you would do one day. That was a chance for you to do it. But now with this pandemic and things being locked down and yourself feeling restricted to go out, I think that has become more challenging. So that's where you need to strike a good balance within the family. So I think we had a very...
Can I add something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, just a thought came. So I was just saying, like, just giving my own example, like I have been a very dependent kind of a person. And whether it's parents or friends or sisters, and I've always found people to depend upon. But somewhere, it used to eat me up because I would not feel like capable because of that. So, for example, like I was not working for so many years and my husband was working. He would come back on weekends and he would want to eat at home, and I would be sitting at home all week. So I would want to go out. Things like that also used to happen. And then that frustration would come in, that you get your outings, you go for your client meetings. What about us? We also need to go out and stuff like that. And there were so many feelings of being let down and demands and all, that you used to feel miserable. And then I just realized that, our own happiness, it's how you choose. Why are we wasting our moments away? We choose, like, for example, we'd gone for a holiday. Like, we used to go for holidays and you would keep sleeping for half of the day and we would not end up seeing any, sights. And I was like cribbing, and I would spend the remaining of the day cribbing. And then I spoke to my father. He says, what's stopping you? There is a hammock there. There is a beach there. You go read a book. You go enjoy yourself. The thing, like, I was not looking within. I was just looking outward for things. And it used to make me so miserable. It was just when I stopped expecting, stopped demanding, and started giving that space, that I got so happy. And like even during this pandemic, it's like how we all survive in the house, because we all separate, we give each other space, and you just meet like once or twice a day for that little patch, and things are fine. Because I think we have to give each other the space to grow. And one more thing which I've realized, much later, and I have to develop on that, is that only when two people, like in spouses also, if they're complete in themselves, they are complete, they don't need each other to depend upon, that codependency is not there, and then they come together and they move in a direction, that's a much more harmonious and beautiful relationship, rather than depending, because that creates a lot of disharmony. So I think being complete in our own selves, loving ourselves, and finding yourselves and fulfilling that within yourself is the key. And then
Puneet, the flip side is that this kind of completeness comes only later in age.
It's coming late. So we are so late now, and I feel I've wasted all that youth. The youth is all gone.
Yeah, so that's why I say cribbing. Yeah, so that's why I say the best time to get married is 40, not before that.
I agree that after 40, reflections are coming, transformations are coming. I'm feeling younger.
Don't say that.
Absolutely, I agree on that.
We have a hot bachelor here.
Saeed, let's close the session before the market gets impacted.
I'm going to take this advice.
Yeah.
Well,
let's conclude this. Yeah. We can do a chat.
Yes. All right.
So let's. It has been a very wonderful discussion. Thank you everybody for participating. I think as a parting message, what I would say is that the best thing to hold on to in life is each other. So when we have each other, I think we have everything, irrespective of any of the situation. So with that said, we conclude this, and we can stay on, we'll talk, but we will conclude this and probably stop recording.
I think it starts with gratitude and ends with gratitude. I think that's the key to happiness.
Yes.
Absolutely, no doubt. So well done, Syed, Hemant, coaches, and all the people attending here. We can stop the recording now.